Okay, I think we are recording.
Okay.
All right, welcome everybody to the Farms Coffee Hour. Today is February 18th, and it's basically a blizzard out there. And today the coffee shop is closed. And I think it's a perfect opportunity actually to do a podcast. So today I have Angie. Is it Dowd?
Dowd.
Okay. Angie, would you like to introduce yourself actually to our guests?
Sure. I'm Angie Dowd. I own the chocolate bar in downtown Grand Island. I also own a salad dressing company that is called Dresbach Salad Dressing. And so, yeah, I have work both of those out of downtown Grand Island. And been doing that for the dressings for about 14, actually 15 years now. So, yeah, I've just been kind of a fixture around Grand Island for a while.
Oh my goodness, I was doing a little research about you and I've seen that, but it looked like it was a steakhouse or something
Yeah.
previously, but a portion of the business continues. So you're still doing
Yeah.
the salad dressing? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so my history is um well, through Grand Island, 1932, Dresbach's the steakhouse opened up and it was just a farmhouse. So if you look on our salad dressing jars, you'll see a little farmhouse. That's the original farmhouse that was here in Grand Island, where currently the health department is located at on South Locust.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Oh,
so do you know that huge building?
yeah.
Okay.
Because I seen that photo, but then I couldn't picture in my mind where that building is now. But as soon as you said it, yeah, it's that
Yeah.
corner of, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right across from no, Long John Silver's and yeah. Um if you walk through the main door
Mm-hmm.
of the Health and Human Services and in the glass is etched Dresbach's 1932.
Yeah.
That was not the original building. That was the building that was built after we had a fire. The history of
Oh my
Dresbach's is
goodness.
on its own, just
Yeah.
is magnificent. It's got all these different, just like a movie would have twists and
Yeah.
turns and everything that occurs. But my grandpa had it, and then it just kept growing, and they had to add seats. So they built on and then they'd build on again.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but all through all of the build ons, you could see still the roof of the original farmhouse.
Yeah.
And so we always said so they would serve upstairs in this, restaurant, and it would seat, I think, about 600 people. So if you can
Whoa.
imagine, yeah,
No.
600 people going to this restaurant, and there was a 3-hour wait to get in, and it
Uh-huh.
was that was just back in the day. That's just how it was. People would
Oh my
wait
goodness.
and they would want that type of food. So um Dresbach's was a fixture in not only Grand Island, but all across the nation. There's publications in every single state about Dresbach's, the restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And so here we are sitting in this, tiny town of Grand Island. At the time, I think the population was like 40,000. And you would see, famous people like Bob Hope and Michael Landon coming just to eat now those are old timey people, but
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, I don't
you
recognize.
don't know. I know. It was our claim to fame.
Yeah.
Well, we did have people like Stone Temple Pilots would fly in. Do you know STP?
No,
Oh, geez, I'm showing my age.
I feel in addition, I'm very like not cultured in that way. So I'm,
That's okay.
I'm sure people listening are laughing at me as well, but yeah.
Well, if you ever look at old, Bob Hope was a big entertainer.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, look him up sometime because he did a lot for the troops back in the day too. And
Yeah.
he would go anyways, the point is that the restaurant was acclaimed all over.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. And we had, just grown a great, it was about steaks, dried steaks. It was about salad dressings, potatoes, like all these great things that Midwestern people love.
Oh man.
And so, anyways, in 1985, that burnt down.
Yeah.
And then we rebuilt in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
And And that's the building that you see
Yeah.
on South Locust
Yeah.
is that building.
Oh,
So
you're blowing my mind right now. This is so cool. I did not know any of this history of
yeah,
this famous.
restaurant. I know. Well, it's funny because they always talk about how if you're not present, like if people aren't, if you as a, this is a perfect example, Jennifer Lopez, right?
Yeah.
You, I remember asking my niece, oh, that Jennifer Lopez, and she's like, I don't know who that is. Well, Jennifer Lopez had babies and hadn't had,
Uh-huh.
any exposure for a
Sure,
while.
sure.
And so it was just like 5 years she was out, and I'm like, you don't know who that is, but
Yeah.
it just falls in that line. We've been out for 22 years of the restaurant
Uh-huh.
haven't hasn't been around, so people just don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess in a way you're kind of continuing that spirit through the chocolate bar.
Yeah, well, so I started doing the dressings back in 2009, 2010. Um, and I had I had just graduated from college,
Uh-huh.
and then my second time at college.
Yeah.
And my dad asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, I'm gonna go do something with Dresbacks. And he thought, oh, geez, all this time wasted just
Yeah.
to go back into the business he was in.
Uh-huh.
However, I had a different frame of mind with it. Like, I think people just need to go out, and these kids need to go out and do what their life is meant to be,
Yeah.
and not what their parents want them to do. So if you
Mhm.
ever have children and you're like, oh, but you really need to be doing this, just let them, live their life and do their path, because it eventually comes to where it's supposed to be. But so I started doing the dressings at the chocolate bar. This is how it all kind of collided in
Yeah.
2014. And the owners at the time, Shereen and Amos, I was good friends with them. And so I started renting a space out with them down at the chocolate bar,
Uh-huh.
and worked there for the next, I don't know, 7 years before the next owners were wanting to sell it. And they
Uh-huh.
kept asking me, will you buy it? And I said, no, I don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
And I had had enough with restaurant businesses in my life. And I don't know, something just hit all of a sudden. I thought, yeah, I think I do want to do this. So I
Yeah.
got into the chocolate bar in 2023, February 1st.
Sure.
And so I'm about 2 years out now. And yeah, I haven't looked back since.
So you've been, I mean, I guess in one way or another, you've been in that space for quite a while, huh?
Yeah, about 11 years.
Yeah.
Yep, 10, 11. Mm-hmm.
I just want to clarify, like when you say you were doing the dressing, what do you mean? Like you were making the dressing there
Yeah.
and selling them?
Mm-hmm. We
Oh,
make
okay.
them. They're handmade, hand jarred, hand labeled, hand sealed.
Yeah.
Everything is done there at the chocolate bar. The When I first started the dressings, I kept taking them to production manufacturing companies,
Uh-huh.
and they wanted to change this, put powdered this in it, change the cream in it, or whatever you know, the good part of the
Yeah.
dressing was. And um I said, I when I'd try it, I'd say, no, my customers will know the difference. They know what it was because they loved it so much. And
Yeah.
so I knew that they would know the difference. And so at that point on, I started hand doing it.
Hmm.
And yeah, so ever since then, we've been making dressings and then we had made it at commercial kitchens prior to the chocolate bar.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But when this opened up at the chocolate bar, then I jumped on that opportunity. So yeah, it was interesting. Anytime you move spaces or decide to do something that you've never done before, it is always an interesting process.
Oh man. Um, so Perry,
Yeah, Perry.
I went to high school. I graduate with Perry in the same year, and then I've never really met
Liz,
Elizabeth,
yeah,
like
Liz,
Liz, too much,
Elizabeth.
but yeah, from the few times. So yeah, like I think I came back in and I actually very much agree with you about allowing your kids to kind of explore their interests. And I think in general, it's it's actually great because what happens is when you leave and you come back, like literally what you just said, you have different ideas and
Hmm.
perspectives that you've gathered from your experience in the big city generally,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, that works. That could work here.
Yeah.
And it takes somebody to kind of enter that space from that angle to be able to kind of elevate the business and take it another, kind of give it a little facelift that it needed, because
Yeah.
if somebody's been doing it for so long, then they're just like, that's just the way I've been doing it. But
Well, and also it's okay to fail. Like I always say that I've had a failed business before. I considered it failed. Um, it's okay to fail because it's about what you do after that. So
hmm
if you are going to fail and just curl up and die, then that is what your failure meant to you.
uh-huh.
But if you fail and you decide it's okay to fail and then
hmm
learn from it,
hmm
then there's growth there. There's something
hmm
that you did that, I mean, whether you fail or whether you um, are extremely successful, you still have to learn through it,
hmm
and that's kind of the biggest thing is I'm all about learning, because nobody's going to know everything. You're not
Yeah.
going to know everything right away. I mean, did you in your business like know all of the things that were going to come your way?
And that's like honestly how you become little, just like bulletproof. You're just like what
Yeah,
what what else could stop me? I'm not scared to fail.
exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of what Um, that's kind of, I mean, it does drive me. Failure to
Um,
fail does drive me. It also motivates me to work nonstop. And also, it motivates me to not make the same mistakes I made on the
nah,
last time.
yeah.
And so, um, I think that without having, without allowing your children
hmm
or yourself to go out and explore different um, facets of your own life, you're
hmm
not going to get that growth because you've never allowed yourself to either fail or make a mistake or,
hmm
you know, any of that, any of those actions that actually cause you to grow.
I love it. Fell early, fell often.
Yeah.
So
Do it early so you can recover.
so you don't have any experience like directly about like running like a restaurant because you were doing salad dressing before, or do you work in that space
Yeah.
previous as well?
So, growing up in the restaurant business with Dresbacks, that's all I knew. So I grew up
Oh,
in
so you were
that.
working in the restaurant as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, I
Okay.
grew up in it. That was from day one I was born, and that was my dad's life. Was he was down at the restaurant, and see, we used to cut meat back then. I mean, I still do actually in my own restaurant now. Is um my this is crazy, but back in the day when the racing season was going on,
hmm
they would cut 1,500 steaks a night. Like
Oh
hand cut
my goodness.
1,500 steaks a night.
Yeah.
That's how many people they were going through. And that's just steak. There's they had a whole facet of things, fried chicken and seafood and I mean really great stuff. But growing up, I didn't realize that it was this amazing,
Yeah.
until I moved away.
hmm
Like I loved it growing up, but I didn't really understand what it really was until like you said before, I moved away, moved to LA. I ended up working in the wine industry, wine and gourmet food,
Uh-huh.
and my friends were all chefs.
Yeah.
And so I would be um we'd all be bringing things, to like our dinners and with wine and everything, and they'd always want to know, what is this? What did you put in this? And oh, it's all secret, it's family
Yeah.
secrets. And so um yeah, it was just one of those things where all of a sudden it started sitting in your brain. Like, you mean the thing I learned when I was like 14 years old to how to make a gravy, is
Like
the
like you don't
basic,
know that?
yeah, like is the basis of like all these amazing
uh-huh.
sauces. And so just learning those things gave me confidence, it gave you confidence to be like, okay, maybe I'm not so far behind. Just, because
hmm
people think you grow up in Nebraska, you don't have you know, I mean, back in the day when I left, it was 2000, it was late 90s, early 2000. We didn't obviously have the access to wine like we do now. Like we had
hmm
wine back then, But now we have just so much more of a plethora of wine coming in, and people find an art in it and a love, just like with food.
Mm-hmm.
They find a love with it and an art that, and that's where I think for me the growth happened is when I moved out to LA. I was able to talk about all these things that we had done just growing up and going, hey, what we had
Yeah.
was actually even better than what I
Yeah.
had tasted in other places.
Yeah.
And so just, yeah, it was just really interesting. So
Man, just listening to you talk about this, so my family came to Grand Island in 1995, and I was probably about 6 or 7 years old. And then I'm like,
I just graduated from high
you
school in
just
95.
graduated, really?
Yeah,
I'm
that
racking my
dates me.
brains to think about that intersection though, because I remember there's that big black cow there from
Yeah,
Texas T-bone, but I
yeah.
cannot think of what was on the other side of that. And we were very poor, so I don't imagine we were going like steakhouse or nothing like that. But I'm like really sad we never had a chance to experience that restaurant. So,
I know that is something actually that I get sad about, even though I did experience it. I
uh-huh.
get sad that I didn't get to experience it in its heyday
Mm-hmm.
with um just watching the back end of it. Like now knowing, I go back to knowing what I know now.
Uh-huh.
I would love to see how the back end worked in the kitchen, just like how they were pumping out 1,500 steaks a night. And then also from a perspective of a person that is willing to jump into the fire of cooking and
Mm-hmm.
serving and being out there, when you get done, there's a camaraderie
Mm-hmm.
that forms. And that's kind of, I think about some of those employees that used to work there, and they had that great camaraderie too. Like after the shift,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we got through it. That was hell on earth, but we got through it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure they were kicking back with some beers and stuff afterwards,
Yeah.
just trying to relax after a stressful day. But yeah, those are the things that I think about and also because I miss the food. And so the chocolate bar, actually, we are starting to try to implement a lot of the old Dresbach's food at the chocolate bar.
Oh, okay.
And so that's one of the things that we'll have on the horizon there is almost like a Dresbach section or a Dresbach's um, merger, if you will, of foods
Yeah.
that bring back some of my favorites as well as the people's favorites, which is always fried chicken. People always say, fried chicken. And when are you going to bring back the fried chicken? So we'll expect to see that.
Man, I think Grand Island would love it. I feel like Grand Island appreciates good food.
They do.
And we lack a few things here for sure. Like we don't have ramen shop. We don't have a ton of
Yes.
like yeah, there's a lot of things lacking here. I was gonna say like we have like, fried chickens and stuff, but there's no like like local fried chicken places.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
um I think that would be really, really cool. And I'm so excited to hear
Yeah.
you say that.
We'll see what all transpires after in the next year or so. We just, as you know, a lot of work involved with every step you
Oh
take.
my goodness, yeah. You like want to launch a new product and all you think about is like logistically, how do I get this done? Who's gonna do it? And then like
Oh
I
yeah.
totally get it. And I don't even come close to touching food, so I can imagine how your brain has to work when you have a new idea like that.
Well, I tell you, one of my experiences was with salad dressing.
Uh-huh.
Is that I launched these dressings, right? But I did it I was in LA when I did it. When I had rented a commercial kitchen. Nobody knew the Dresbach's name out there, like
Uh-huh.
not that I know of, or they did, but not to what they know in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And so I would sell it to little gourmet food shops there in LA. And I had all this leftover product because
Uh-huh.
they just don't know it. And so I decided we'd drive it back. And that day, my sister and I drove straight through from LA and had it all packed in ice. We walked into one of the local places and convinced them to put it on the shelves and just said, just say it out loud over the speaker system. You'll get people to buy it. Well, ended up the local newspaper, the Independent, put it in the paper.
Uh-huh.
And they got flooded, and they called the next day, like, we need 200 cases of dressing. And I was like, I don't have 200 cases of dressing. I have like 20.
Uh-huh.
But I think what then happened was all of the issues that come with having to make a real production like that. You went
Yeah.
from a gourmet where you kind of take your time, you put it, to we need to do this fast.
Yeah.
And how do we do this fast and fill all these jars this fast? And then
Uh-huh.
the realm of production kind of comes in, and it's trial and error, just like the big failures, small failures, it's all the
Uh-huh.
same. And
Yeah.
so learned so much about that nobody would tell you about. So one of the things, like you just said, is putting out, like, so we didn't have a ranch dressing when we first started. Now ranch dressing's been the number one selling dressing in the past like 25 years.
Uh-huh.
We actually just had a little bit about ranch dressing. Ranch dressing was invented by a guy from Nebraska, and his name was last name was actually I can't remember his name, but he was from Thayer, Nebraska.
No way.
Yeah, he moved out to California, did some work on a place in Alaska, came back and started making dressing in California. Hidden Valley was who it was. It was the gentleman that created Hidden Valley Ranch, and he's from Nebraska.
Uh-huh.
So, anyways, that's a side note. I'm sorry. But I wanted to produce ranch dressing. And so you just think, I'm going to produce ranch dressing. You put it out, you bottle it, you get a label, but how do you actually market it? How do you sell it?
Uh-huh.
How do you make a customer choose your dressing when there's a lineup of 40?
Mm-hmm.
And then how do you make them pay more because yours is more expensive?
Mm-hmm.
And so all those things I learned, like, you can put a great product out there, but
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean it's going to sell,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody knows your product from
Mm-hmm.
Hidden Valley, right?
Right.
So it's just, those are things I never knew about, that I never thought about enough about. I just thought,
Yeah.
I've got a great product, this is going to work.
Yeah.
And then it just went to, oh, how am I going to sell this?
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. It's very interesting.
Um
Sorry, I have always a lot to say. I'm a talker.
no, this is fantastic. I was trying to formulate my thought about it. I think what you're describing is such a perfect analogy for like just small businesses in general, because my wife and I, we spend we'll be laying in bed at night thinking about what we can do on social, and
Oh, I
try to
know.
get interactions after the full day of scheduling and this and that. It's just like there's only so much that one person can do, and especially with like like if you focus too wide, then you can't really kind of do super well at things. And it's just like
Yeah.
you are the producer, you're the engineer, you're the, like, you make the product, and it's like, I don't know, I suppose you have to get a team together to try to get help you
Yeah.
kind of push that out.
You definitely have to have a strong team.
Yeah.
And I think I learned early on I have to be able to trust people. Because at my last business that I did, somebody was
Mhm.
stealing from me.
Yeah.
And it was really painful to know that something that is so private as your business, that's your livelihood and
Mm-hmm.
what you are, what you pour your whole heart and soul into, that somebody was claiming that you're paying actually to be there to work, was stealing. And that part kind of threw me. That was a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
It was a lesson of, even though you feel like you can trust somebody, you always have to be watching,
Yeah.
every aspect, and trying as best as you can.
You got to create those check and balances just
Yes,
to not, yeah.
absolutely. Always the checks and balances. And that was kind of a hard lesson for me, because I trusted so easily
Yeah.
that after I just went into just making the salad dressings on my own.
Hmm.
But through time, I realized that if I want to take this anywhere else, I have to have a crew that's going to help.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
Man, I feel like you have a great platform now, though.
yeah, we do.
Specifically because you own a restaurant and you have the ability to market your dressing to those people that come by, and you can even sell direct to consumer that way instead of like being on a shelf or something like that. It's a little bit
Yeah,
more of kind of a curated experience. So I think that's fantastic that I don't know. It might have just worked out in that sense. Like there's some symmetry between the businesses
yeah.
that I think that hopefully should help you.
I think everything. I'm one of those people that think most things happen for a reason.
Yeah,
And that was kind of what you have to gather. Even somebody stealing from you, you have to gather something from it. You have to
yeah,
learn from it, and if you don't, it's all for nothing. And and certainly I did. But also that um, the I grew the salad dressings. We're now in a lot of different states. We're in Hy-Vees and Super Savers and Russ's and a lot of local places and affiliated foods and places. People will call and say, "Hey, you're out of the dressing." I'm like, "Okay, which store is it at?" And it's in Colorado.
yeah.
And I think, "Oh my God, I'm in Colorado. This is
I'm so
amazing."
cool.
I know. I am really cool. Oh gosh.
Which store in Colorado? No.
Oh my God, it was the best name. It was like Beaver Market.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Beaver Market if there's anybody out there.
Thank you. Thank you to those customers for
Yeah,
buying the salad
that's
dressing.
right. That's right.
Um, one question I like to usually ask is like, you know, there's usually a reason why somebody works as hard as they do. What's your reason?
I've always been a hard worker, actually. I think we kind of touched on it earlier. There is a fear of failure, and
Yeah.
that's one of them. But I think because you have to be passionate about what you're doing. I mean, there's no way around it. Like if you don't have the passion for what you're doing, um, right, there's always like the person that's in the business, they're going to provide the money for a business, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a person that's then they have somebody run it for them. And then there's, the teams that come in to create a business. And that's like on a corporate level. But for us, small
Hmm.
businesses, we are
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
We don't have deep pockets. We don't have like a team, like you said earlier, that
Hmm.
can, do our whole marketing scheme.
Yeah.
Like we're it. And so if we can't find the motivation in ourselves
Hmm.
to make that go, then none of your employees are going to follow suit.
Hmm.
And I work really hard for my employees because I don't want them to not know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I work really hard for fear of failure.
Yeah.
And also because I just like working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I almost guarantee they all see you work as hard as you do too.
I think
And
so.
they don't yeah, what an amazing way to lead, just through your actions. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
really enjoy our employees. They are, that's one of the struggles people have. And I'm not saying we don't either, but as you
Yeah.
know, you got to always look at the positive as much as you can.
Mhm.
Otherwise, that negative will always overtake.
I agree. Yeah, my wife and I, we talk about this all the time too, how we feel like we just have some really amazing people that work with us. And I think so much of it though is because people have worked at shitty places and they know what a shitty boss or a shitty manager
Yes,
is like. So when they work with somebody and they're like, this person cares about me, this person
exactly.
doesn't want to, I don't know,
Squeeze
yeah,
every last
squeeze
out
every,
of you.
exactly.
Yes.
Um, like they don't want me working at 110% all the time. I think
Yeah.
they appreciate that. And you kind of just create that circle. So
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
think it's everything that you're probably putting out.
Yeah. It's, as you know, that's one of the hardest parts about small businesses, trying to find the right fit for employees.
Yeah.
And
It's like dating, you know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. No, no hard feelings, you know.
it's true. It is so true.
Has there been something that you feel like you've been working really hard on ever since you've kind of taken over
My sanity.
your sanity?
No, I would say it would be we've worked really hard to bring back the nighttime service at the chocolate bar. So way back when they had, well, right way back they had a dinner. I think it was a dinner service or appetizers that
Yeah,
Sharina and Amos had, and then Liz and Perry I think wanted to keep it as more of a breakfast and lunch.
yeah,
But God, they had a rough go. They bought it in 2019, and then it was COVID.
yeah.
And told them like every day just to try to make them feel better too is like, I have been in restaurant business my whole life
Mm-hmm.
and I am fairly seasoned on things and I would not want to be dealing with this, you know.
Uh-uh.
I mean, just a nightmare.
Yeah.
But they handled it like champs and anyways, so I think bringing the nights back and working on our catering part of it and renting out the rooms because there's
Uh-huh.
beautiful rooms there that nobody even knew existed.
Yeah.
And so we've been working really hard on putting out um, yeah, great dinner service and catering. On a side note, I think for me personally, what I am um, proud of is patience, like just working on patience with the business, patience with employees, patience with customers, you know,
With yourself.
with yourself. Yes. Giving yourself an
Uh-huh.
okay to like let your mind rest on a Sunday, you know,
Mhm.
or let your mind rest on a Tuesday night instead of only being consumed with
Yeah.
business. And that's, I think, where you got to have to kind of take the small wins on those.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys are doing an amazing job with there. I have a confession. I've never been to the chocolate bar, and my wife and I talk about it all the time. And for some reason, I don't know, we get so tired at the end of the day or something, we don't go out, or
That's it.
it's
I'm leaving.
and it's I swear it's always one of the days that was like, okay, let's go out or something, and then we look, and then like some restaurants close. You know, it's
Yeah.
not it obviously it's like people should be taking time off, but it's just the timing. It's not worked out, but
I feel the same because I said, you know, the same thing. My friend always comes here
yeah,
and she loves it so much, but by the time I don't go and do anything
yeah,
ever, like
yeah,
all my employees know that I'm either driving in from work, sitting at work all day long, or and then going home. So that is my life. But we do need to take the time to go to each other's
yeah,
places,
exactly.
you know. And but I get it. Like no harm in that. I mean, I 100% understand that because especially like it you get tired at the end of the
Hmm.
day and you're just
Hmm.
like, "Ugh, I just want to do this or this and you know.
Yeah.
So, well sometime you got to come by and
Oh, we do. I hear stuff about you guys all the time. One
yeah.
of our customers, her name is Rachel Vu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rachel.
she's always cheering for you guys.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's really good. She's a good one. She used
She's
to work there as well,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she used to work for I think Sharina and Amos back in the day.
You know, for me, this one I love so much. It's like, do you can, can you explain how it feels to see like regular customers or like the ones that come in all the time? You know, like just seeing them make it worth it to you? Like what do you think about?
Yes. Actually, we had our Valentine's dinner. Oops, sorry. We had our Valentine's dinner and we do a 7-course Valentine's dinner and we
Uh-huh.
do a 7-course New Year's Eve. And we had some of our regulars come for the the 7-course meal And it's hell on earth. It's like nonstop work for us, right?
Yeah.
It's 7 courses you're putting out, and it was 120 people,
Yeah.
121. And it's all about timing, and you feel like you're yelling the whole time, go, go, go. You guys go now. It's your turn,
Yeah.
and you're just, are these done yet? Let's go. We got to push this. And you just feel like you're constantly like stressed.
Uh-huh.
And I had the, like, it was just wonderful. I went up after everything was done and went and talked to the customers up there, and I saw a bunch of our regulars that
Uh-huh.
always come. And there is nothing better than that. As you probably know, that when you work that hard, that they know that they're going to put that much time and money and a night into
Mm-hmm.
your business
Mm-hmm.
because they know it's going to be spectacular. Um, there's nothing better than that.
Uh-huh.
You get to see their smiling faces, and you do that, right? That is part of the reason you do it, is
Uh-huh.
because you know that if you screw up,
Yeah.
they could be those people on the other side that are your regulars that you're going to, give not the best, like perfect cooking of a
Mm-hmm.
steak to,
Yeah.
or, a coffee that is burnt, or whatever the case might
Uh-huh.
be. That's the people I think of,
Uh-huh.
is those regulars. Like, what if it's this? What if it's Don that I'm handing this to, and he doesn't like it this way?
Uh-huh.
So that's what I always think of. Why we always strive to do is consistent as we can. But I love the repeat customers. They're the best.
They are. They're so good. Sometimes we're really busy too, and they're trying to chat with us, and we feel so bad because we're trying to chat with them, but we're like, I gotta go.
I know, but they know.
Yeah,
They
they know.
know. They know that you're busy.
Uh huh.
You can just tell them, get an apron on, get back here, and then we can chat later. Oh God, there is some really funny. We have a lot of real fun return customers. They are the best. Just always got something fun to say.
How would you describe the chocolate bar?
Oh boy. Well, that's a great question. It's really difficult to answer because when I was buying it, it has an identity crisis, right? It's like it's called the chocolate bar. We do have chocolates in there, but it's people expect it to be all chocolate.
Yeah.
And you walk in and it's not. And so it was one of my kind of campaigns when I first bought it, was just like, we're not just chocolate. We are a breakfast place. We have coffee. We have amazing lunch, quick lunch
Mm-hmm.
things. Almost like where you just order at lunchtime. You go up to the counter, you order, and then we bring it to your table.
Mm-hmm.
But at nighttime, it's full service.
Yeah.
So we have kind of a little bit of a identity crisis, but our business just keeps growing. So I'm like, well, maybe this is just what we are.
Yeah.
And why not? We don't need to tackle that problem until it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And so we're just kind of, if people know us,
Mm-hmm.
they love us, they're coming back. But if they don't know us, then maybe eventually they'll come and try it and be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So I would describe it as a upscale, or I'm sorry, like a kind of city-like vibe. The inside is really pretty.
Uh-huh.
Um, uh, but cozy, like you're in downtown Grand Island, but you walk in and it's in a bigger city.
Yeah.
The food is, um, yeah, it's all over the place actually, in a good way. Like we have burritos and for breakfast,
Some
and
comfort food.
lunch. Yeah,
Yeah.
lunchtime we have paninis and soups and sandwiches, and then dinner we have prime rib sandwiches, and we have at dinner 2 of my items that are my most favorite.
Uh-huh.
It's a beef tenderloin
Uh-huh.
with a mushroom wine sauce that has a crab stuffed mushroom on top.
Oh my goodness, that sounds
So good.
delicious.
It is so good. You could lick the plate, like the sauce is so amazing.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing is we have wild caught halibut.
Uh-huh.
We actually have a program that we get the halibut in on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
We cut it up, we serve it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. But it's all flown in fresh from Alaska.
Oh my goodness, I did not
and
know that.
it is fantastic. We put this great like sauce on it, and of course we always have Dresbach's au gratin potatoes and Dresbach's coleslaw.
Uh-huh.
So we kind of marry that in. We have Dresbach's ribs that people love. So we kind of marry in a lot of that food at nighttime. So if you haven't been in at nights, come in and try the food. It's great.
Like clearly, it sounds like a lot of work for you guys because you're having to kind of seem like it's like two or three different kind of restaurants, but like you said, sometimes like midday restaurants are not the same as like nighttime like
Yeah.
service and stuff. So that sounds fantastic. It sounds like you can go there a couple times a day
You
actually,
could go 3 times a day. You can go
and
for
get three different
breakfast.
experiences.
Yes. You can go for breakfast and get a chorizo burrito. You can go for lunch with a ham and cheddar panini. And then
Yeah,
at night, you can get like actually, we're just starting a special with scallops on pasta. I mean, it's fun. It's
yeah.
fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of pain and it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of pain, a lot of fun. Um, what are some ways you kind of measure like the success of the business? Are you just
I think I'm a numbers person, so I always look
yeah,
at numbers.
okay.
Um, so from the most basic standpoint, I look at numbers and see the growth that we've done from year one to
Mhm.
year two, and now we're heading into year three. And so I see that, but I think also being able to take a couple days off and not feel like comes crashing down
Yeah.
is a huge measure for me that my employees, we have a trust within each other that they know
Mhm.
what I want, I know what
Mhm.
they want, and I don't feel the stress of that because I know that it's going to be handled
Mhm.
for the most part how I want, unless some crazy thing comes up. Um, so I do consider that a huge success to be able to take a couple days off and know that it's not kind of come crumbling down.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh man, I couldn't agree more with that.
yeah,
That's those systems are some of the hardest to come up with and to have everybody follow. And honestly, it's great when the boss is not there sometime. You know, you can
oh,
be a
they
little
love it.
relaxed too, right? So
Yeah,
it's like you guys don't want me here all the time.
no. In fact, when I went on a vacation, actually for like 5 days, they came back and they were like, it ran better without you. I think because they were so, well, from their point of view, they get more stressed when you like, you see
Yeah.
it, like you walk, our kitchen's downstairs. So I come up the stairs and all of a sudden they scramble. Like I'm going to walk in and be like, who's standing
Yeah.
around?
Uh-huh.
Like, no, I just usually do my thing and I am, look, we've all worked
Yeah.
before. We've
Yeah.
all had a boss before. I always say that my employees are like they're my boss, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Because if they're not happy, I'm not happy. And then vice versa. So it's
Yeah.
just like cyclical. Like we have to keep each other happy. So
Uh-huh.
I get it if you stand around a little bit, but um it's not it's anyways, and they get it. I like to joke around with my employees a lot.
Uh-huh.
I have a good time because if you have to be at work for like for us, 60, 80 hours a week, whatever it is, um and for them, hopefully not more than 40.
Yeah.
But if you have to be somewhere for that many hours in your week, why
Yeah.
not have fun?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you might as well because you got to be there anyways. Everybody's got to make money.
How many staff members are you guys up to now?
We have 18.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we have 18, and then the chocolate bar, or sorry, Dresbach side has 2 to 3
Oh, okay.
that does the production. Yeah. Probably about 12, 10, 11 full time, and then
Okay.
about 8 of part time.
Um we recently just started hiring some part-timers because we didn't think we'd like to have that kind of scheduling, but honestly these part-timers, especially the high school kids, have been blowing me out of the water. They're
Aren't they?
so good, and they love to work, and you give them feedback and they take it, and you
They
can see
do.
they get better, and they're honestly really smart too.
Yeah, they're so smart.
Yeah.
I I have a high schooler. She's actually homeschooled, and she's such a success story for me. I love her. She I think it was her first job and she started when she's 15, but because she's homeschooled,
Uh-huh.
she can work whenever
Uh-huh.
you need her to, as long
Yeah.
as her home schooling is getting done by her parents. And so she really struggled for about 3 months. She just could not get all of there's a lot to learn,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot to learn, and she just struggled with that. And then all of a sudden everything came together, and she is like my best employee. And
Yeah.
I think she's 17 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's probably getting even closer to 18, but she's 17 and she is just fantastic. When she walks in the building, I feel, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
she's here. I can relax a little bit on,
Uh-huh.
the upstairs. She's a great barista.
Uh-huh.
She's awesome. So,
Oh my God, you're talking my language. We recently hired a gal too, and she's homeschooled, and we've started doing events with the homeschool community,
uh-huh.
which I did not know like exists the way it did. But there's a homeschool community here,
Yeah.
and they'll meet here like once a month or something like that for their like social kind of, because they're obviously homeschooled, so they don't get too much social interaction. So they'll have like a
Yeah.
meeting, and there'll be like 30 kids in here, and I'm like, if there was 30 other kids in here from somewhere else, this place would probably be a mess.
Yeah.
But these kids are so well behaved and very respectful, and so is our employee too. Man, she is
Yeah.
so good. And I was talking to Alyssa about it. I'm like, we should consider homeschooling our
I
kids. These kids are so
know.
great.
They're so good. Well, I don't know 100% if this is accurate, but I thought she said they only have to have like 2.5 or 3.5 hours of schooling a day, or like,
Yeah,
and that's the most, like 2.5, that is only required of them.
sure.
And then I think, okay, so that's for all school system though.
Yeah,
And so I think, well, geez, all these kids going to school, it's basically so that their parents can go to work themselves, and these kids have a place to learn,
yeah,
and
yeah.
kind of get filled in. So nothing wrong with the school system, obviously.
Uh,
Just saying that um, for these homeschoolers, it kind of worked for them
yeah.
in this way. But
And you're absolutely right. Not everybody has the opportunity to homeschool their kids, but yeah, what an interesting topic. But
yeah, yeah, that's a whole nother day.
I think before we conclude the podcast, is there anything you would like the listeners to know, or is there anything that we can do to help you and support you in the chocolate bar?
I do have, I know this gets said a lot, but I think people need to understand how important local businesses are. Not only like, for example, for the community, like I was trying to explain this to somebody. I'm sure you get this all the time. We have nonstop people that come in from schools and hospitals and every single thing asking for donations. And we've never once not done a donation. I think unless they want something really large that we can't do. Um, but we're always giving on donation. We also do this Eat Cake Donate, which is every third Thursday of the month, and 10% of our proceeds go to whatever it is that month, that week, that we're doing.
Yeah.
I think next month is like the Hargis House, like we're putting money towards that. And then, but we've done this now for I think about a year and a half. I think the point is that um when you give to these local places like us, it directly goes into your community. Like every amount of money that we make, right?
Mhm.
We're helping to pay for the schools. We're helping to pay. Like if we actually get to take home money, right,
Yeah.
from our business, and we're not putting it back into the business,
Yeah.
that money is directly going into this community. Like we are actually shopping at the restaurants. We're
Yeah.
eating dinner or shopping at the stores. We're eating dinner at the restaurants.
Mhm.
We're putting our donations towards your kids. So I'm not saying nothing like horribly negative towards corporate places, and that's not my point. My point is like, please dine at your local places, drink
Mhm.
at your local places, because I mean, I don't know but Starbucks doesn't need any more money, guys. Like,
Mhm.
they're not putting their excess money into the Grand Island community. You and
Mhm.
I are,
Mhm.
we're paying the money for everything. And so I just think that if there's something you can do for your local people on those snowy days, instead of going through a fast food lane, stop at your local shop, because they
Yeah.
really need the money on snow days. Like,
Yeah.
they really need that.
Yeah.
And do what you can for the local people, because they will always help take care of you.
Uh-huh.
Always. They always do. Um, so I would just say keep that in mind when you're trying to pick your, what you where you're going to go have your events at, or your get your coffee from, or anything else. Like, just keep in mind that we are people helping to take care of your kids too, and your community, and that we love the support. We love our regulars. We
Mhm.
love our people here, and just want to keep going with local communities, if that makes any sense.
Oh man, I don't think you could have said it any better. Yeah, I think it's a conscious effort that everybody has to make, and
Hmm.
I love it. This is exactly why we do the podcast. This is why we bring on local business owners to tell their story, and I hope everybody's listening enjoyed, and I hope you got something out of this, and I hope you know a little bit more about Angie and the chocolate bar, and yeah.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. This was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. We'll have to get you on again next year
Yes.
when things will probably be very different in a year.
Hmm.
Um,
We'll have movable chairs.
yeah, my chairs will have wheels on.
That's awesome.
Well,
Uh,
thank you everybody for listening to the Farms Coffee Hour, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.
Bye.